This is one of those interviews I look back upon and wish I had listened more and talked less. Rick Cossi is a very interesting man. If you take the time and go back to listen to our first discussion in February of 2025, you'll hear some pretty cool stories about the Pismo Beach of his childhood, a town of 1,500 people that he just found to be idyllic. In fact, a place where he met an angel at age 6 who encouraged him to fly. You'll hear about his decision to join the Marines as a very young man, confronting the draft, deciding, well, it might as well happen on my terms, and we might as well go with the best. So he chose the Marines. He'll make it sound like he stumbled his way into the Marine Corps' version of their special forces. 6 months in scuba school and learning how to jump out of airplanes. You'll hear how he was wounded in combat. You will hear him describe California in the early 1970s. And then you'll hear him talk about how he continued to develop and grow as a person, and about marriage and divorce and remarriage, a life as an artisan, and life as a postal worker. He traveled from California to Hawaii, then ultimately settling in the Pacific Northwest. That interview is very much worth listening to. Even now at 76, Rick will pack his surfboard and hit the waves. In this discussion that you're about to hear, it's a little different. As I said, I wish I had listened more than talked. Rick and I are both trying to figure out how to navigate the era of Donald Trump and MAGA, and how to engage with folks in the corner who don't always feel like spiritual kin. And yet, what you're going to hear from Rick is a great deal of compassion and openness, as well as optimism. Rick is not a man who gives up in life or on humanity. So whether you love him or hate him, I think he is someone very much worth listening to. All right, we are officially recordings for the record, so don't reveal your location so you don't get found out by the Trump FBI,
Nice.
ICE.
Yeah.
Uh, we got lots to talk about, Rick. This is I'm talking. I see. You introduce yourself, Rick, just really quickly, and remind folks they know who you are by now, but remind them who I'm talking to, and we'll start chatting after that.
Yeah. My name's Rick Cosci, and I've been hanging around the corner for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, making comments, and been on a few live streams with different people. And let's see, I guess I'm at least one of the other liberal boomers around here, so I'm proud of that.
The subject I kind of want to talk about at this point, because you've also seen, the resistance I've gotten
Yeah.
regarding my position.
Yeah.
And let's just start out with where's the communication falling? Where's it breaking down? What seems glaringly obvious, say to you and me, about the times we live in? We disagree about lots of other things, but on this we don't have any. There's not much daylight between us, I suppose.
Well,
But where's the failure?
uh, I think we're all making an effort. I'm talking about the corner. I think
Right.
people are making a good faith effort to communicate. Most people are making a good faith effort. Some people are making, I would say, less than good faith. They're kind of like attacking. And, I don't want to mention any names, but I think you know who I mean. Um, and so the thing that I love about the corner is it's a very diverse group of it's an ecumenical Christian group that is wants to talk with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But and even though there's Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, you name it, which I love ecumenicism, and but I think our politics has become so uh, oh, I can't think of the word, terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that and I think it starts at the top with the top leader, the president demonizing the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. And then to me, there's this whole sort of evangelical Christian demonization of liberals that I think ties right into that. I mean, I put a post on your live stream yesterday. I said, make fascism great again, brought to you by white evangelical Christians. And I believe that. I mean, if it weren't for the white evangelical Christians, he wouldn't be there. So, I know there's a lot of people on the corner. I think the corner is probably 70 or 80% Republican, conservative, voted for Trump. And I I keep hoping that they'll see how extreme Trump and now the Republican Party has become, but I don't see a lot of movement. I keep hoping for it. Um, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I know what there would. I'm guessing. I shouldn't say I know, but I'm guessing that their response to your point on demonization is that they would say we demonize them, we
Yeah,
demonize Trump.
yeah.
I've just in. I could even pull it up, I suppose, but the Chad did a live stream yesterday, and it had PVK hopped on, and he talked about how the left has made Trump into the devil and the next Hitler or something. And
I saw part of that.
okay, so you saw part of that.
Yeah, I see people pointing to extremes like the left is demonizing Trump. Um, hey, the left is just pointing out what they see. Maybe some people are saying he's evil. I'm just saying he's confused. He's a narcissist. He's a liar. These things are well known. Um, so I I really am tired of like both sidisms. It's like, well, both sides do this. No, there's one side that's way worse. And I know that
Right.
sounds kind of like an attack, but um, yeah, immigration has not been dealt with by both parties for like 40 years. And so what I observe is, for instance, Trump, when he was not in office, when Biden was in, Congress was working on a bipartisan uh, build a wall in exchange for having some immigration quotas, etc. And Trump got on the phone and said, "Don't do anything with immigration because you know why? I want to use it as a wedge issue." And all you have to do is look at Europe and see people like Viktor Orban using immigration as a means to uh, create fear in the population and use it to get elected. So um, there's that.
Right. Well,
Um,
it's what are you, I mean, there are Democrats currently afraid. Like, have you seen what's Beto O'Rourke has been threatened by on Twitter or X, was threatened by the Texas Attorney General with arrest.
I saw the headline, but I wasn't sure how what the reason was that he could be arrested.
The allegation being tossed around, I don't, they have sought a restraining order to prevent him from doing certain things, but there's been no, to last I've heard, there's been no warrant for arrest issued. But the allegation is that he's using his organization, his political action committee and whatnot, to bribe the Democratic legislators, um, and that and keeping them from uh, to bribe them to not show up, basically. So they're because they've been preventing a quorum
Right,
in this special session,
right.
and
So it's
that's the allegation there, that his activities in support of their protest
yeah,
equal to bribery, and that's would be the criminal charge. Do they have a leg to stand on in court? Well, in a California court, certainly not. I don't have any idea what kind of hearing he'd get in a Texas court.
right,
But
right. Yeah, it's kind of that's what I see a lot of, kind of a technical thing. Like, you got a speeding ticket, so we're going to send you to, Zambia or something. There was confusion on, public officials' housing. Did they buy a house here and claim it there? It's just, it's authoritarian. The black boots coming to get you for any small reason that normally people wouldn't pay any attention to,
yeah,
and you know, it's uh, it's really horrible.
well, and now they're trying to rewrite history,
Yeah,
using a kind of bogus a bogus report generated by House Republicans accusing Obama of treason, is their language. That's
right.
Tulsi Gabbard's choice of words.
Yeah,
Uh, and there's a whole hour of discussion there on what a
yeah,
piece of work she's become.
yes, sycophant.
Yeah, it's so hard to even track that. I mean, so it's, but so they, you know, they're basically saying all evidence gathered heretofore, even during the first Trump administration, regarding um, uh, Russia's involvement in the election of 2016. They're now rewriting it in such a way as to the argument being that the Obama administration colluded with the Hillary campaign
Yeah.
to not only defeat Trump, but then after his election to frustrate his presidency,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
hamper or hinder it.
Yeah.
And they're calling that treason.
Yeah. Well, Mark, you and I both know that language, communication, whether it's written or spoken, is metaphorical, right? I mean, it's
Right.
not mathematics. It's like
Right.
trying to say something and trying to hear something. So what I see is like Bill Barr, when he got a hold of when Trump got in and Bill Barr got a hold of that report from Mueller, he
Right.
just massaged it.
Right.
He massaged it away, and
Right.
then came out with his own, like, hey, this spying on the president, put his own spin on it. Well, I think the Republicans picked up on that, and they're just all over it. It's like, hey, we can do this, and because of the way language is, you can take a comma out and change the whole meaning.
Right. Right.
It's sick.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
So,
then okay, but let's go back because we're kind of going to this is kind of a corner show, I guess, a corner focused discussion because you mentioned that the corner the participants in the corner are well-meaning and they're attempting good faith, and yet we seem to not be able to understand each other and
yeah.
and like I said, what all these points have been made one form or another on my channel, and still nobody cares. People took it very personally, I guess, that I when I started talking about ice,
Yeah.
and I made the point that people would ask, well, why are you talking about that? And I said, well, one, here is my channel, so it's
Yeah.
free to be whatever the hell I want it to be,
Right.
God willing, and two, nobody else in the corner, to my knowledge, had so much as noticed what was
Yeah.
going on. I began noticing.
Right.
And then I noticed, and I quoted scripture and noticed.
Right.
Maybe that was my great crime. And still, there's not a lot of communication going on. The people who were able to hear me before are sending me quiet notes of support.
Mm.
And the people who could not hear me before still aren't hearing me, and they're making their protest known in comments and on live streams and
Yeah, that's kind of
sometimes.
scary. That's kind of scary right there, that the people that that are supporting you are sending you private messages like hang in there, and they're afraid to come out publicly. I mean, that's kind of like in the intimidation that this whole uh, Trump Trump world has created. I don't have it. I'm happy to stand up against Trump and Republican Party. I mean, I could talk about the Republican Party, maybe like 40 years ago, and the Democrats aren't perfect, but like take the environment for. Well, wait a minute. Before we go there, I could hear you saying that to you and to me, Jesus' message, Jesus Christ, is the Sermon on the Mount. It's like
Yes.
it's taking care of the poor, taking care of the immigrant, the widow, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Whatever you've done for the least of these, you've done for me.
yeah, yeah. And here I hear you saying that, and people don't even. It's like they don't hear it. They're
Yeah.
like, well, we want to get rid of the criminals. Isn't that get rid of the gangs and the criminals? And they're not hearing what you said. So, um, personally, I kind of dropped out about 4 months ago. I thought, I'm spending 3 hours a day, maybe four, listening to Paul and you and Rigel and Luke, and I thought, these aren't my people. It's like talking to a brick wall. You know, I vacillate between wanting to have an effect, caring, and wanting to find a better. I'm looking for a better version of Christianity, and that's what I'm trying to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I have websites and people that I watch, but none of them are live streams. They're not communities, and you know, I like the corner, but I feel like you know, uh, it's hard to make. I don't think I'm going to change very many people in the corner. I'd like them to change. I can't make them change, but like I say, I vacillate. I go back and forth. Should I just give up? I mean, the politics is so hard. The Christianity to me is upside down. I heard you say like a month ago something about the Christianity is a shit show, and I said, he's right.
A rolling catastrophe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
it's certainly hard to distinguish it from any other religion when basically you might it seems like, you know, radically conservative or orthodox Jews have more in common with radically conservative and orthodox Christians and radically conservative and orthodox Muslims than they do with moderate people of their own faiths,
that's
which
right.
makes
Yeah,
which makes me think what we're really talking about are categories of religious spirit or religious mindsets, or
yeah.
as a as opposed to each Christian. If Christianity as a whole stood out from Islam and Judaism and any other religion out there, it seems to me you would not be able to find that sort of cross faith alignment.
That's right. If it stuck to the teachings, the ethical teachings of Jesus, it wouldn't look like it does now. But what I agree, I think what we've got is a lot of Christians or they come across as being political. It's
Right,
it,
right. Political or social. They have a very specific social. Of course, that all has political consequences downstream, but there's a certain, like I said, the very conservative Jews, very conservative Christians, very conservative, and I don't even know if you can call them conservative,
fundamentalists.
radical right. Yeah,
Yeah,
fundamentalists. Let's just say fundamentalists for the sake, small f, fundamentalists. Fundamentalist Christians, fundamentalist Muslims, fundamentalist Jews they all have the same aims
yeah,
in society. It's anti-woman,
yeah,
anti-democracy,
yeah. It's
and they all have that in common.
yeah. It's none of those are centered on love. They're mainly centered on control, which is a lot different than love.
Right. Authoritarian. They're all authoritarian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Educated women are bailing out as fast as they can from getting together with men that are, on the right, and the
Yeah.
men on the right are following people like Pearson and think they're doing the right thing by being this manly man, a UFC fighter or something, and women don't want it. You know,
Yeah.
it's all
Now I'm listening to myself, and I'm sorry I talk so much. And then listening to our conversation, I know what's going to happen is we're going to be pigeonholed, um, and dismissed, and that's what I'm trying to get past. It's like, how do we? I don't know, is it just, is this what McMo calls old men at Arby's or whatever it is? It's we're just sitting around talking. We're sharing and commiserating between ourselves about the bizarre world we find ourselves living in. Um,
I think it's worth talking about. Uh, it's just like, yeah, you got to do action, volunteer and help the poor and all that. But I think that our conversations are important. What I am, what I see as a problem is like, um, sort of homogenizing everything down so that like there's nothing that we don't want to get. We don't want to say something is wrong or bad. We just want to get along. I think we're past wanting to get along. Like, for instance, I can say that I'm against the Republican Party. I'm not going to call them a bunch of evil idiots. I don't call people names. I still love those people, but I'm totally not going to say, well, they're good people too. That I mean, that if they're doing bad things, that's a question I have. If people are doing bad things, are they still good people? I don't know.
right. Well, yeah, that's another topic I want to talk about too, is when does, I mean, you and Luke Thompson are both strong universalists.
Right.
I'm, I wouldn't, I am not a universalist, but I'm also not in what's called an infernalist
Yeah.
or an annihilationist.
Uh,
My worldview is basically with regard to, I don't think the Bible's clear on what exactly happens to people
yeah.
after
Totally.
they die. But if anything, I'm probably most influenced on the immediate afterlife. That is, by the Tibetans. And
Uh-huh.
basically they warn you about, don't waste this precious human lifetime that you've been given,
Yeah.
and use it well. And what they mean by that is use it to find wisdom and express compassion at every turn and develop merit so that you scale up. That's very much, they're kind of a works salvation, works righteousness kind of worldview. They didn't have Jesus to work with, but they took what they had learned and said, compassion, love, kindness. These are how you level up.
I totally agree. I think I'm with the Jesus brother James. The book of James.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
it's like saying I believe this or that. It's like anybody can do that, but become a compassionate, loving, forgiving, person. That's what it's all about. And to me, going back to the authority deal and the tribal leader, that's great if you've got a perfect person in charge, but nobody's perfect. And then what happens when you get a guy that's not perfect, that's really bad? That whole thing is not going to work. And to me, it's an example of what happened to Christianity when it became involved with Rome. It became something with, priests and,
sure,
you have to go through me to get to God.
right.
And there's a lot of different flavors of Christianity. And I think that one got off on a sidetrack that is not very good. Yeah, I mean this whole structure, I'm more like we're all equal. Um, uh,
Yeah. Well, and that's his practical good sense. I mean, there's a good question. Before I play this clip, we're now to a point where it's becoming fairly popular. I would say 30% of the population at this point kind of aren't sure if Lincoln was a good guy.
mm,
And Lincoln's Lincoln summarized his view of American democracy, at least in its ideal, as no man is so good that he may govern another without the other's consent.
mm,
And it's a very profound statement, a little idealistic, hard when you think about it, kind of hard to execute perfectly. But if you are willing to see our electoral process, and equal justice and one person, one vote as a
means for realizing the consent that Lincoln imagined. What what do you think happened to America or is happening to America that brings us to a point where we would begin to put that into question, that ideal? Where did we go wrong?
I think the bottom line is mammon, money, corporations, greed. I think that it's like, and this is what I have to say about the Republican Party. Um, the Republicans, I don't know what they used to be, but for the length of my life, it's like they're carrying water for the rich. They talk about trickle down and stuff, but look around. People can't afford a house, they can't afford food, they can't afford medical care. And the Republicans keep giving tax breaks to the rich, and they apparently don't care about the environment. It's like that's too woke. It's a what do you call it? What's Trump call it? Hoax. So the Democrats aren't perfect by any means, and they've gotten into the corporate deal too. But at least they've got they're interested in trying to take care of the environment, take care of the poor, um, you know, keep voting rights together. So to me, the the one issue, abortion, pro-life, it's like Republicans figured out that they could use that to divide people. And I've got a friend that works at Safeway, and he's a union guy, and he's a Republican. I said, how can you be a Republican and be in the union? And he
Right.
said, I'm not a baby killer, you know? And I'm like, hey, you know what? You're trading one issue for 100 that are just as bad, if not worse. 100. Um, there's a lot of things that could be done about abortion, like having men involved. Make sure that men are involved with the consequences of a pregnancy. Creating a society where people can afford to have kids and want to have kids. Counseling. I mean, there's just so much that could be done, but it's just right there in your face. Yeah, I mean, I would never suggest to a woman that she get an abortion. I don't think it's not good. It's not a good way at all for birth control. Don't use it for birth
Oh
control.
my gosh, no.
Find somebody that wants a baby. I mean, there's just so many things that could be done. And meanwhile, they're pro-life. And I see it in the comments. I see people comment on your stuff about abortion. And, it's like, what about the people when they're, these kids that are born that are 5 years old and they're born to some immigrant? Well, you want to kick them out now. You don't care about them.
Right. Oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Tell me how much you care about babies when it gets down to developing policies and or supporting policies that care for babies
Exactly. Yeah.
after they're born. Let me
Yeah.
play this because I think PVK had a critique of progressives in the left in the Chad stream, and it was Friday morning nameless, and I'll share the link in the description, but let's hear what PVK has to say.
Okay.
And I want to hear your response.
When Peterson said that the left won't talk to you, I thought there was something to that, and there's something really serious to that. So, well,
And a couple of comments were like, well, Paul doesn't know the left. And it's like, good grief, man. I'm really hard to pin down because I've always been a crunchy Christian and that I believe in the resurrection. And I'm very comfortable within the Christian Reformed Church and its confessional statements. I'm also very open, but I grew up, I've never voted for a Republican in my life. And often when I vote independent, I vote to the left of the Democratic Party. And politically, I've been pretty doggone left, but what I've seen happen to the Democratic Party, to the people that I've been close to most of my life in terms of work and of projects, and it's just so much of it is just floating away. They're not doing anything. They're whining, they're complaining, and Donald Trump just sort of grabbed their attention and possesses them as a negative spirit. That's all they can do is blame the world's problems on Donald Trump. He's become the Hitler. He's become the Satan of the story. And it's like, hey, I've never voted for Donald Trump. I'm not a particular fan of his. Some of the things he does, I say, might be okay. Some of the things. But the truth is, what do I know? The more I learn, the more I know how little I know about how many things. So, I just promise people to try to tell you the truth about what I'm willing to talk about on the internet, and watch or don't watch. I hope it's helpful. That's the whole thing.
All right. Let's
Thanks for that.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay. So you heard his criticism of the left.
Yeah.
How would you respond to Paul's description of what he talks about the whining, the whining left with they aren't doing anything. They have nothing to offer.
I think he's wrong. He's straw manning the left, and I think there's so much pressure on him to move to the right, which is like that pressure is all over the place. It's like, if you want to get by in this day and age, you kind of start going to the right. And I think the right has pushed back so hard on the left, which is trying to be more open-minded and modern, that they're doing everything they can. It's like this whole idea of woke. I mean, woke is a term that was in the Black community. It's like stay woke. It was in a blues song. You probably know this. Mm-hmm. And the Black people, the fellow in the blues song, he's like, stay woke. And what's that mean? It means be careful, watch out, because if you're not careful, you're going to get hung. Stay woke. And then some creative psyop guy, Republican, comes along, and he brands everything that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. All that stuff is woke. Now we have a sledgehammer that we can use against people that want to be, that want more freedom, more inclusion. I mean, it's horrific what the right has done to progressives. I'm a progressive Christian, and I feel totally attacked. And it's like they're winning. They've got all the money. The Republicans have all the money. Big business, big money. They've got all kinds of institutions that they can, and they've been at this for 30 or 40 years. How can we, capture the culture and bring it around to our way of, our uber capitalism, and poor people keep voting for Republicans. They're not getting anything from the Republicans. They're going down. I mean, I could just go on.
Mm-hmm. Is the left resentful?
Resentful. When he says whining, to me that's like verbal abuse. I'm not whining. I'm concerned. I'm angry because of injustice. I'm not going to call anybody names or say that I hate them, but I'm angry about the injustice, and I will speak up. And that's not whining. It's actually funny because the party, my friends that are liberals say the Republicans are the party of all they can do is whine about, the left. And I know it's come to a really terrible situation with all that, but yeah, I think progressives, the left, has a lot to offer, and they're trying to offer it, and they're just getting beat down by the right. And it's just like like healthcare and food stamps. It's like, that's the nanny state. Let's name that the nanny state. I mean, who wants to be, run by their nanny, the mama state? Well, plenty of money goes, like tons more money goes to the military industrial complex. We sell more weapons around the world than anybody else. Is that Christianity? I mean, it's
Right.
it's upside down.
Let's shift a little bit because, okay, we can't change people's minds. And
maybe a little bit.
well, and I mean, I got one brief mention in the video that PVK was talking about, where he was responding to a commenter who was critical, speaking, kind of addressing him down from the left.
I saw that.
And he said, Paul just said, well, Mark D. Parker has been upset every 3 months or so. Mark D. Parker gets upset with the corner.
Yeah.
And it's just a very strange, and that was it. He didn't say anything else about me or to me. And Paul knows me, and I know him. I mean, we've had lots of interaction back and forth. And I hope there's no animus between us, because I don't feel any towards him.
It's dismissive.
But I do. I just look at scripture and I shudder. I mean, I don't know how we call ourselves Christian and support some of these policies and these mindsets and a compulsive liar. I mean, talk about abortions. How many abortions have Donald Trump had to pay for over the years with his conduct?
Right.
And Mr. Grab him by the, you know what?
Yeah.
And and is he the devil? No. Is he the next Hitler? Well, that's yet to be seen. Right. He's on a trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you take the death toll in Gaza seriously, he and Netanyahu are on a certain trajectory, and developing a place in history that's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, where they are going to find them, they're not going to. No one. No matter how much control Israel is able to establish when all the fighting is done, whatever the political boundaries are, whatever the new consensus is, 100 years from now, no one is going to look at that death toll in Gaza, and except for the nutcases, the rest of the world is going to look at that as a humanitarian catastrophe, and a crime against humanity. I don't know.
Absolutely. And
I'm a supporter of Israel, but I can't support that.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard several Jewish thinkers say that what's happening in Israel doesn't reflect my values,
right?
And they're Jewish, and there's people you and I know there's people in Israel that don't they hate what Netanyahu's doing. I mean, look what they're doing to their own reputation, and how can they do it when what happened to them? That's what I have a hard time figuring out.
Well, and Netanyahu himself, everyone forgets, is that this man is fighting to stay in office.
Yeah.
Just so that he can avoid prosecution and likely incarceration.
Yeah, it's so narcissistic.
For breaking laws in his own country, yes.
Just like the guy we have. The one thing I'll say is I'm really happy to hear Paul Vanderklay say that, I didn't vote for Trump. I've almost never voted for a Republican. I'm happy to hear him say that. But his dismissal of the progressives and of the left, I think is really a mistake. I mean, people have gone a little bit overboard, like, pride and stuff, it's like in your face. Sometimes I'll see gay people in my church, and it's like they're, two men, and they're like all over each other. They're fondling each other. It's like, you don't really need to do that.
Right. Let's switch.
Yeah.
Time is winding down, and I really appreciate you. I mean, I'm just trying to give a little different. You're helping me at least provide a different perspective for anyone in the corner of my channel who's going to listen. Because most of the people I talk to are going to be right of center, certainly right of me.
Yeah.
And so it's helpful to have you here. And you're also a fellow boomer, and you're a little older. You served in Vietnam. You were a Marine. You've lived life.
76.
76.
Just
You were old enough to actually have a living memory of Martin Luther King Jr.
yeah.
and that period of civil rights and the war protests. And now I'm really concerned about what's happening in the streets in my part of the country, LA and greater beyond that. It's happening all around me. There are people who are intercepting ICE raids and disrupting them, and I don't want it to turn into another. I don't want to have a series of Kent States.
That's right. That's
Where people get really hurt.
right.
Because I mean, it's bad enough that that innocent, undocumented immigrants who aren't criminals are getting hurt. It's bad enough that families are being broken up needlessly. That's bad enough, but we don't need young people or civilians, Americans getting shot over this crap.
Absolutely.
Which means I want to talk to the left now. I want us to address the protesters, the activists, because it seems to me they've lost faith in MLK, and they lost faith a long time ago with MLK. I mean, I saw it and I couldn't give away nonviolence 10 years ago. No matter how hard I tried. And during George Floyd, I went around, maybe I'll try to find that photograph. I carried around a big golfing umbrella on which I painted Black Lives Matter, Justice for George Floyd, BLM. Yeah. But in the biggest letters, I wrote, "Be kind."
Yeah.
And that was how I walked around, and I did this in a lot of different places and wherever there were protests and that I could participate in. But people found it novel, but it was interestingly effective too.
Yeah. Covers a lot of ground.
It covers a lot of ground, but we don't have to break things. We don't have to threaten people. We don't have to burn cars.
Yeah.
And now with Washington, D.C., now there are National Guardsmen deployed under federal government control. So I'm going to ask you let's try to help activists on the left imagine a constructive way to protest this autocratic grab for power in our nation's capital. And I'm thinking along lines of really crazy. I'm really crazy. Why don't maybe carry around a case or two of water in your car?
Yeah.
Oh, and maybe some fresh home baked cookies or something. Just give it, and then maybe have little cards that just maybe say "Be kind."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a nice constructive quote from Jesus or the Apostle Paul about how we are to behave ourselves towards our brothers and sisters,
right?
Towards those who are weaker, and just with the cookie and the bottle of water, give those out to the National Guardsmen. Give those out to the police officers. Just friendly, loving reminders.
Yeah.
As opposed to in their face, calling them Nazis, calling them fascists, calling them racists, because we've been doing that now for a long time and it's not working.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, that's just one pitch I have. I want what do you think of it? What else would you add or subtract, or do you see any point to that approach?
I think it's a good idea. If they show up in my town, I will try to do that. I mean, if I've been to 3 marches so far this year, and if there's more demonstrations, I'll be out there with a sign, demonstrating, hoping I don't get shot by some crazy guy. But Yeah, I think I had a friend who was a Buddhist who used to come to spiritual meetings about 10 years ago. And I would take him to Portland, and then he would go off to the East Coast for like a 2-month meditation retreat. And he came back, and I'd say, well, what do you get out of that? What's it like spending that much time in meditation? And he said, I just learned to be kind. When you're in the grocery store, be kind, be kind, help people smile. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
So again, maybe the job, the vision of the left. I mean, PVK wants to see us offer something. There are lots of constructive things that I think the left, as long as I can remember, and I was supported Bernie, and before Bernie was around, I supported Nader as well. Bernie was around during Nader's time, but he wasn't prominent as a national figure. Anyway, just thinking of constructive things to do. We need to. I think just our protests need to be constructive. I think we need to do whatever we can to reduce tension to the degree that's possible. It may not be possible, but I think water and cookies may not be a bad idea, even for the guy who fires rubber bullets in directions he shouldn't.
Just a friendly reminder and a smile and a cookie.
Yeah, you're a human. That we are human beings, and we see you as a human being. That's a start.
Yeah.
As far as policies go, I think the left offers lots of constructive, one of the hysterical protests that you hear from the right about Social Security. It's about to go bankrupt. And of course, if all we would have to do to permanently fund Social Security without it ever again being at risk of running out of money would be to simply lift the income cap on taxable income. Money that's all you have to do. Just lift the cap. Then all those billionaires, all that money being made by all those and include Social Security taxes on interest earned from investments and so on, capital gains, and apply that. So all income gets the Social Security tax. You could actually, if you did that, you could lower the amount of money that every American contributes. Just all income you have to contribute to Social Security on all income, period. Done.
Right.
Well, you'd probably then reduce the personal contribution at the individual level to probably 2%.
Yeah.
And it would be fully funded. And it'd only go up in relationship to then the needs of the system.
Yeah.
So, to meet it's so simple.
Well,
there's an innovation. There's a left of center innovation. That's a real proposition. There's no resentment. There's no resentment here. We're just saying it's fair tax. In fact, I'm cutting taxes.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, Mark, the Republicans have been trying to get rid of Social Security ever since Franklin Roosevelt installed it.
Right.
And they were so adamant against it that they actually tried. There was a coup, and they never pulled it off. But it's like this knee-jerk reaction that anything that like any state government effort to help the people, that's socialism, that's communism. It's like such a convenient. It's just like woke. I didn't understand how these people can sleep at night, especially if they're Christians. It's like it's so backwards.
Right. It's insane. It's insane. But see, back to the thing is they don't hear us, and we're going to go through this and we're going to have our conversation.
Yeah.
And question is are they going to be able to hear us as you've said positive things about the corner? You said they're well-meaning. You said they'd skew Republican probably, which they probably do. Will they hear us? And can we hear them? And can we Can we hear let's end this on a note where maybe they can feel affirmed.
Yeah, I would say that the right, the Republicans, always have uh, a kernel of truth, more than a kernel of truth, but they have a lot of truth in their conservative views. Like, let's not overspend. Let's have a quota. Let's only let certain amount of people in the country, and let's have a good reason for it. And let's take care of our defense and all that. I mean, each side always has good qualities, and we just need to try and find some common ground. Like, hey, we want to live our life and have enough money for food and shelter, and we hope everyone else can have that too. Let's work together to make that happen.
How do you feel with all this? Are you optimistic? Do you think that ultimately we can work together?
I'm always optimistic. I don't know why. I think because I believe in evolution. I had this whole thing that I was going to talk to you about, like 6 or 7 different subjects: progressive Christianity, why evolution is important, why science is important to religion, which we didn't get to. But I believe I believe that Christianity and our culture, our whole planet, our people, we're evolving toward a higher state of being, and it's really rough right now. It's like a birth. It's like pregnancy with a heavy duty birth we're going through. Um, but I believe that God is, created this creation, and that I think that God will make it work out. Not just show up in the sky and wave a magic wand, but through 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 the people. It's like we're God's hands and feet. We need to do it with God's help. God's already inside of us. So I'm optimistic that we can move forward. But right now, it's like, keep your head down, or you're going to get in trouble.
Right. All right. Well, we'll come back and maybe we'll do another discussion, and you can more or less just lead us through some of that, and you can express some of those ideas to people in
That'd be
more
great. I
detail.
would love to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Rick Cosci, for joining me today on Ramp Radio, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. And I hope you don't just walk away. If you do, tell me, send me notice, and then I can tell you if there's anything that you might be interested in, and you can listen to or pop in on.